Hello, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a good morning, evening, afternoon, whichever of those applies to you. My name is Catherine, if you haven't seen me before, and today I'm just going to be going over my knitting plans for 2026. I have lots of things that I already have yarn for that are next in the queue, but I also have some aspirational type projects that I would like to get to. What we're going to do is we're going to go through these in some kind of logical order where I start with the ones I actually have yarn for and therefore are actually going to happen. And then with the aspirational ones, we're going to work our way from least to most delusional based on techniques, time required, etc. So I'm not wearing anything knitwear related today because it is 35 degrees and I simply cannot and will not cope with anything touching me that does not need to be touching me. So that's where we're at. That is my disclaimer / introductory spiel. I have a microphone dangling precariously from my necklace because this is too high collared and it'll be rubbing against my neck. So that's suboptimal and really not ideal. But we're going to push on bravely into the future. I've just got my tablet down here, so if I'm referring to it, I've got everything listed out here. But the ivy top is the first one on the list, and this is one that I kind of just have to grit my teeth and get through to use the yarn, because my first ivy top, if you saw my What I Knit in 2025 video, was a flop. It's just way too big for me. That's my bad. I should have gauge swatched. My yarn was definitely off gauge. So essentially I have done some numbers on what size I will need to knit to actually get to my size, because somewhere I meant to knit a small, and what happened with that one is I somehow ended up with somewhere between a large and extra large. And I will need to knit the smaller size to get something even resembling what my size actually is. So that is first up on the list in Rowan Summerlight 4-ply in the colour Cobalt. And I still haven't even frogged the first one, so I'm going to need to just take deep breaths and gather my bravery to do that, because, I mean, it didn't take that long. So to be honest, it's not that much of a tragedy, but it is just annoying. Nobody really enjoys redoing things that they've just done, I think, but needs must, has to be done. Another petite knit one, we're just going to front load those because they're, while I do like her patterns, they're arguably the least interesting and unique of the bunch. So the Olga jacket is also on my list. The yarn I've got for this one is Peer Gynt in Regatta Blue and Tutti Frutti Confetti. It's a bit of a lighter blue than I intended, but I do actually still really like it. So I will definitely be proceeding with that. I don't think I need to give too much introductory info on the Olga jacket just because so many people have already made it, but essentially a top-down construction, striped cardigan, oversized fit. I love stripes, so I simply have to have it. I own a frankly disgusting number of garments that are striped, so it just has to be done. Brush past this one quickly, but that is something I also have the yarn for. That's in my plans, it's locked in. Next one I'm actually really excited for, which is the Loon sweater. There's actually a knit along being run for the Loon sweater by Knit Them on Instagram, and I believe that starts around the 10th of February. I will put the actual dates on the screen, but I have bought yarn for that one as well. There was a discount code provided for Gilead in the knit along, so I decided to take advantage of that. I really wanted to try Gilead, but when you buy it in stores in Australia, it is very, very expensive. Something like 32 Australian dollars a ball, which is, when you're buying a sweater quantity, that's quite a lot of money. So actually getting it imported and ordering with the discount code on top of the sale from overseas came out to pretty significantly cheaper. Let's see, what colors did I get? I got, I'm not going to say the shades that I got because it's French, and French pronunciation specifically is really embarrassing for me, and I'm gonna make a fool of myself. So these are the colors I got. It's a dark forest green and a off-white. The thing that I am a little bit worried about is that the color work for this sweater isn't knit flat. So it's a typical drop shouldered design, but the color work is not knit in the round. I've never really knit colorwork flat except for the first portion of the porcelain sweater before you join in the round, where the top detailing is knit back and forth. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but also realistically I'll probably be able to do it. I'll just need to sort of look up the technique for how to purl backwards. I sort of toyed with the idea of doing mirror knitting for that, but I think it would just be faster if I purl, to be quite honest. So I will be going ahead and doing that. I'll put the knit along details if you're interested, but there's also some exclusive charts for queer birds that are being provided for the loon sweater knit along, which I'm very excited about. So if you're interested, I'll link those details for you. But I'm very excited about the loon, and that will be front loaded because the knit along starts in February, so that's kind of going to need to be a bit of a priority. So that's that. Another thing I have yarn for, another summer top, is the mixed rib cami by Florence Miller. I got the yarn for that. It's Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in a lavender blue colour. And I haven't actually used Knitting for Olive, so this seemed like a good opportunity to try it out since it only requires maybe 2 or 3 balls. This is just a really cute ribbed summer top. I've seen really good things about it, and I really like the waist shaping option, but I suspect that this one might be a bit tedious because of the whole body rib. Why is everything that Florence Miller makes so cute? She's honestly a great designer. I like all of her stuff, especially the kitten catch mittens, which are adorable, so adorable. Mixed rib cami is just a camisole summer top, and it's got a mix of wide and I think twisted rib stitch. I also like that there's an I-cord finish. I love I-cords. Something about doing them is so satisfying to me. The only thing I'm not too sure about is because obviously I live in Australia and summer in Australia is really hot, so I am a little bit worried about having summer tops with merino. It could be that this is just a top in terms of relatively mild summer weather, so the 20 degrees Celsius range, but willing to give it a go. Everyone raves about Knitting for Olive, so I would like to be included. I actually would like to be on the bandwagon. On to the next one. We have the Squeeze Me Vest by Knit Knit Goose, and this is actually going to be a gift knit for a friend of mine, which I think is also delusional because she has requested that it has feijoas on it, to which I said, sure, no problem, that shouldn't be too hard. I'd never heard of a feijoa before this, but I'll put a picture on the screen of what they look like. They kind of just look like lime type things with an interesting inside, sort of like star-shaped interior. You can kind of just finagle the colors for the outside of them and then maybe do custom charts for the inside. The original design has it in panels, so the front panel is where the fruit design is and the back panel is a checkered design, and then they are seamed together. My friend asked me, is it possible to do this as a button-up v-neck rather than a slip-over? And I just went, sure, no worries. But my feeling is that it won't be that hard to modify, because instead of doing one front panel, surely I can just split that into 2, take off some of the room in the front stitch-wise for a button band. This may be a little bit delusional because there are a lot of techniques in this that I have not done before. Intarsia, never done it before. Duplicate stitch, never done it before. And I am having to modify the patterns completely as well and split it into 2 panels to do the front and then seam together with the back. So this is really ambitious, but I am actually really excited about it. I find it really fun to try new things and challenge myself, and I do feel like I'm at a point now where just the plain kind of single color things they're nice to have and they're relaxing to knit, and obviously they get wear, so they are really great options, but they're not as exciting to me as more involved designs. So I am really excited about this one. Definitely going to be doing this one soon. I have the yarn for it. It is the Morris & Sons mixture of Empire and Estate 8-ply, and there's some greens and yellows and a terracotta brown sort of colour mixed in there. There's no point rushing that one really, just because it is so hot at the moment, so there's no chance she's going to get any wear out of it anytime soon, but it would be nice to have it ready for her for winter. My cope for this one is okay. It doesn't have any sleeves. It's just a vest. It's 2-3 panels technically. Surely it'll be fine. I've done a v-neck before. It's all gonna be fine. Don't even worry about it. On to the next one. My stripe obsession continues because it's the Stripe Overload cardigan / jacket by Spectacle Streak, and again I have yarn for this one as well. It is the Bendigo Woolen Mills Classic 8-ply in Lipstick Rose and Midnight Blue. I really am into like the blue-pink combination, and I'm trying to find pinks that suit me because the original yarn I ordered was like a pastel pink, But when it arrived and I held it up to my skin, it really did make me look unwell. I don't really subscribe to the whole this is flattering, etc. I like wearing things that look ugly, and I love an Adam Sandler fit, but I do not... How do I put this? I feel like that specific shade of pink is really hard to swing for things that are not knits for babies or children. And I wasn't that into it, so I traded that over. And I love this new color combination. The only thing that I am worried about is that the pattern calls for Aran weight, and this is probably more of a DK or worsted, so I will probably need to do some kind of gauge wizardry to work out what size I should be knitting for that, but I have not even thought that far ahead. I just love stripes, and I was like, I have to have it. I love the little collar detail. I already have one stripe overload tee and then another one in my whips pile in a purple color, so let's just keep it going. But I am stopping with the stripe overload after this one. I'm gonna need a break because I have a lot of stripe stuff. I'll have a lot of stripe stuff in the queue. Will it get a bit samey? I don't know. But I do not get sick of wearing stripes. So I know in my heart of hearts that I will get plenty of wear out of it. But I also have some yarn that's kind of... Hi, would you like to say hello? Oop. Okay, here she is now. You saying hello? I'm sorry I trapped you in the wardrobe. This is Fern. She's 4.5 months old, and I accidentally trapped her in the wardrobe. But I'm trying to film right now. Would you like to get down? She doesn't want to get down. I'll have to give her a churu later for her trials and tribulations. We're going into the things I would like to make this year if I have time after the aforementioned list of things that I am definitely making with the yarn that I have. That was quite a sentence. What I meant to say is, this is the inspiration. This is what I would love to make next in line after I use the yarn that I already have, because I've put myself on I'm not buying any more yarn until I have 2 projects left. I don't have that much storage here, and I would really like to avoid having this big stash. It stresses me out, and I'm not interested in having an abundance of yarn at my disposal. So next in line, first up, a summer top, the Ringo top by May Bruns. I really love this top. It's a little cotton camisole, and it's got an all over cable design, and I really, really love it, but it's worked. I do wonder if I can work out how to work it from top down, because I don't love bottom up, because I have a very short torso and length with summer garments is pretty important to me in terms of being able to get the length that I want. So I'm not sure about that, and I don't know what color I want yet. Maybe, I was about to say maybe I could use the Bendigo Woolen Mills, but I can see it's a sport weight that they're asking for, so that will not work. But I'm not sure what color I want yet. I do really like the sample photo in yellow, but I just don't think yellow is my color. What does kind of give me pause about this one in terms of it'll probably be for next summer is that it is for 2 to 2.75 mil needles, and I've been doing a lot of small finicky needlework lately, and I struggle quite a bit with carpal tunnel on and off, and I find that small millimeter needles, so probably 2.5 and lower, can be tricky for me, and I definitely need to work magically with small needles. I cannot work with shorties or small cables with that, because it cramps my hand down through here and it's very painful, and that can mean that I can't knit for a week, 2 weeks. So I try to avoid that. I also have learned that I cannot use shorties for sleeve knitting, which is very, very annoying, and I'm very sad about it, but it is what it is, and I'm dealing with medical stuff, so there's not really a whole lot that I can do about that apart from stretching and avoiding the things that aggravate it. I'm just happy that I can still knit it all. This will need to go backloaded towards next summer, because as much as I would love to make it, I think it's going to be too much for my hand and wrist, especially because I've just gotten off making some socks and mittens, and I think it's going to be too much for me. This is so adorable though, and it doesn't have many, it only has 17 projects on Ravelry, which shocks me because it is very, very cute. And it came out in July last year, so I would totally think it would have more traction than that, but there you go. That is what I would like to make. One of the more feasible ones, just because I know how to do all the techniques, I-cord edging, cables, although I have yet to make a successful summer garment, so let's be realistic and keep that in mind. The next one I'd really like to make is Dima's Crochet Cardi by Dima Patterns. Aran weight bottom up construction, but the thing that I love about this is the crochet blanket stitch edge detail. I think that is simply adorable, and I have absolutely no idea what color I would make it in, but it is definitely on the cards for, if not this winter, then the winter after, I suppose. But I feel like that would be really cute in like a cotton merino or a cotton. I just don't really know how cotton would behave in terms of a cardigan because I've never made one before. But we will see, we will see. I said, love the border crochet detail. I started off as a crocheter before I was a knitter, so I'm a bit of a sucker for a crochet detailing. So I'm a big fan. And I would like to use the recommended yarn for this if I can find it, because it is the Peruvian Highland wool and a strand of Tilia, neither of which I've actually seen for sale in Australia anywhere. So, well, not online anyway. It's not like I've visited every yarn store in the nation, but I would like to, but it's also highly possible that the price tag for that will be ridiculous. So I don't know, but I'm kind of feeling like a black with a red crochet detail could be fun. Something a bit darker. I also really need a black sweater or cardigan. I just simply do not have one, and that would be really, really useful. So I'm just focusing on making brighter stuff, but I haven't really made many basics, so that would be really lovely. Next up is the Obsidian Blouse by Sophia Scottford, and I know there was a vest as well, but I specifically like the blouse because I have no idea how to style vests and slipovers really. So I just think this is so adorable. I know bows and bow details have been done to death over the past year or two, but I just don't care. I love them. And I will be making this. But again, it's worked flat. So I thought the tie was an I-cord, but it's actually double knit. So that could be fun. I'll probably give it a bit more substance because I can see in the pattern photos that it's a bit more substantial and bulky. So that is very, very, very cute. It got 3 veries out of me. That's how cute it is. Really anything that jumps out at me as being super, super challenging about this one or barriers to entry. I will say that I don't love a saddle shoulder. I love the way it looks, but I find even making it's okay. Honestly, it's all about the ends. I know it's such a cliche to complain about weaving in ends, but I really, really do hate it. And I never know how to make ends be woven in a way that's neat and not ugly. Unless it's a single color item, I find that the ends, I can always see exactly where I woven them in. Unless I do sort of like a duplicate stitch type weaving in, which I really don't, it takes forever. I mean, it does look better, but it takes forever. I really like the grey. I feel like this would be really nice in a blue, but I have got a lot of blue and purple already going on, so it could actually be good to have a grey that's more neutral. So, it remains to be seen, but this is Aran weight required yarn, and I believe it's 2 strands held together. Let me check that. Isaiah Tweed and Silk Mohair, neither of which I've used before. I know that there are a lot of the Isaiah Tweed colours that I really, really like. So that could be fun. But again, how much money am I willing to spend? Because this could get very expensive. Something to think about. I will contemplate this in the months to come. I have talked about that one for so long and fumbled over my words that my tablet has completely gone to sleep. So, my bad. Alrighty, next, Heart Chain Sweater by From Mayo. I really love the heart detail on this one. And I love cables. I've only made 1 cable knit thing so far, and even then it's not even finished, but I think it has a really like vintagey kind of look that I really enjoy. And I also enjoy that it's drop shoulder. I also really like, this is totally an aside, but they've actually said in the pattern description what size sample the model is using. Thank you, and can more people please do this, because I am tired of seeing something that looks beautifully oversized and I'm like, yes, that looks great, and her measurements are probably about this, so it'll look like that on me. But it doesn't, because in reality the model's wearing an XXL and she's an extra small. So that is really frustrating. So thank you to From Mayo for putting what size the model is wearing in the description. I love that, and more of this please, more of this. Really, you know when clothing descriptions, when you're buying clothes, will have the model's measurements and then you can compare that to the garment measurements? We need to normalize this in knitting, we really do. For this one, because it's a heart design, it feels right to lean into that and go for like a pink or a red or a pinky red, get really wild with it. Neither of those colors look particularly good on me, but I think if I can find the right, like a raspberry color. Actually, I saw that Knitting for Olive just released their raspberry red, which I think would actually be completely perfect for what I have in mind for this one. So I will note that down here because that could be a really good option for me. Probably not for the bank account, but we're heading into delusional territory now. So the next one is belated or the Bell Sweater. Please excuse my pronunciation, by Runestrick. And I feel like I saw somewhere that this required steeking, but I cannot see any evidence of that being the case. I love this little floral motif that's going through it. It's so detailed and so beautiful. I also like the scalloped edges on the bottom. I also really like the sample colors with the royal blue and the white, so I'm not sure I would deviate from that. I think that is really gorgeous as it is, so I think that I would absolutely love to get to this, and I'm probably not going to, but while we're on the topic of steeking, we're going into another steeking pattern, which is the Midwinter cardigan from the Art of the Sea, which is the Lane Publishing Moomin-inspired pattern book. This one is worked continuously in the round and then steeked later. Same with the colourwork, I believe they worked in a little panel and then steeked and sewn on. So I feel like because the actual garment itself doesn't have colourwork, this could actually be a better place to start with steeking because it's a bit less intimidating. You're not as worried that you're going to slice through the colourwork by accident or that the colourwork's going to unravel. It's a little lower stakes. So maybe this will be a better place for me to start. I don't think I would change the colour of this one. I think it is pretty darn cute as it is. Maybe I'd go for a... No, I do feel like the grey for this one is pretty much perfect. I don't know if I'd deviate, but I might change the colour of the Moomin Troll, although that is the colour that he is, so I don't want to like mess with his classic design. So I don't know, but very cute. It's a contiguous saddle shoulder construction. We know how I feel about saddle shoulders. I don't need to go over it. Love the way they look, don't love doing them, but it is what it is. It's not a deal breaker. And just, honestly, I have this pattern book and there are quite a few in here that I would love to make, but I'm not even going to bother mentioning them because this list is getting long and we've still got a couple more to crunch through. So let's kick on. We have 2 more patterns left in my wish list. So the next one is a little vintage pattern that I saw on Etsy. It's called Cat on Sill and it's a vintage Briggs and Little pattern. I will put up photos of it. So obviously there's like pretty much no information on the construction or anything, but as I said, I love cats. I have 3 of them and I cannot go past a cat motif. This is a colourwork vintage sweater that has a little like cat in a window and then on the back it has the cat kind of walking along in a flower bed. Oh, it's so cute and it'd be so unique. It's such a unique little design. I don't know how I'd go finding yarn and I don't know how many sizes there are either, but you know what, let's just look it up. You know, I haven't bought the pattern yet, but from the description that I'm reading here, it does say it's for intermediate knitters. Okay, I'm not convinced that I am an intermediate knitter, but let's just put that aside for a second, benefit of the doubt. Classic unisex fit. Finished with the cross chest, 21.5 inches, can be adjusted. Let me see, I don't speak inches. Let me see how many centimeters that is. Okay, that'd be about how much I would want it. That comes to about 55 centimeters, 110 centimeters, about 25-ish centimeters of positive ease. I think that is pretty much perfect, but originally designed for worsted weight. Very good. Charted colourwork, very good. But as you can see, it's a little bit vague in the construction. But I do really appreciate this design. It is so cute. And I love the little retro look of it. And yeah, anything cat related melts my heart. It simply has to be done. Love that little weird looking cat in the bottom right though. Look at that strange little guy. Absolutely delightful. It does not say when it's from. it just says authentic retro Canadian knitting pattern. It doesn't say what year it's from. So we'll find out the hard way, I suppose. But that is that. And we're on to the final one now. And this is the Maple Cardigan by Marie Wallen. Need I say more? This is an Intarsia and Fair Isle cardigan. Very involved, a lot of colour work, a lot of different colours going on in there. I've only done 2-stranded colour work so far. I've not tried any more colours than that involved, except for a pair of socks, and that was a mild disaster. So let me see, we've got yarn information, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got 10 colours. It's got 10 different colours. Honestly speechless. I don't think I would have the stones to amend the colours much, because I feel like she's pretty much nailed it, and I will not question Marie Wallen on that. And even looking at the projects in Ravelry, I'm seeing a lot of the same sort of colours. I'm not the best at matching colours together. I'm someone that really agonizes over colours and colour matching. I just don't have that natural eye for design and what colours go well together, what colours suit me or other people. I understand it's probably a learned skill, but I don't feel like I've gotten much better since I started knitting over the last year or so. So I feel like it would probably be best to just stick with the main ones, but this is so beautiful. Hi. I'm going to leave it there for today. These are the things that a bit of a mix of things that I'm definitely making, more easy, straightforward patterns versus ones that are a little bit more aspirational and probably pushing my comfort zone in terms of whether I'm capable. I'm so sorry. Bernie, really? But I'm very excited and I'm very keen to be knitting. I do have some other things that I didn't mention, but they're also gift knits and I'm a little bit hesitant to go spouting them out because some of them are surprises. So I will keep those to myself for now. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's given you a bit more understanding of my taste when it comes to knitting patterns. And also maybe, hopefully it's given you some inspiration as well. Or maybe you can just laugh at me and how I think that I'm going to be making a Marie Wallen pattern a year into knitting. It's getting pretty toasty in here, so I'm probably just going to stand in front of the air conditioner for the next 2 hours. See you next time.